Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily Keefe, and today I'm going to be taking you through all of the books I read in July. Seriously though, I'm like Keefe, so excited. I'm wearing this like girl Grinch outfit for this July video and I couldn't be happier. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into it. So July, I was very ambitious for this month. I ended up only reading 5 books, like averaging about a book per week. I wanted to do 2 books per week, and the main reason that didn't happen was because I had so many more auditions than I usually have, and so I was reading like 120-page scripts, preparing for things. I find it really hard to read when I have an audition to prep for because during the time that I normally read, I just keep like drilling lines or reading the script. I had more auditions than usual, which I'm obviously not complaining about, but I definitely didn't read as much as I wanted to this month, so sorry if I let anyone down. This month was a lot of romance, a lot of books that I thought were gonna be summer reads that like actually didn't really feel like it. I have 1 5-star read in here. I think I'm gonna go in the order that I read them. So let's start with Emily Henry, The People We Meet on Vacation. Oh, Emily Henry. She's, you know, this book is very high rated. A lot of people love this book. I think if you're into the rom-com friends turn to lovers trope, this is a great book for you. I think that she's a brilliant writer. For what this is, she does it well. It's just not my favorite genre. I also, similar to Beach Read, didn't feel like this was as summery as I wanted it to feel. Like again, it felt a little bit more like an end of summer, early autumn read, just like emotionally. I know it took place during summers and like vacations, but I don't know, to me it just, I think this book is like so hyped and she's so hyped that I just expect so much from it. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5, just because I do think that like if you do like this genre, you will enjoy this book. It's basically about these 2 friends that have known each other for like 11 or 12 years, and they go on vacation every summer, and that's really the only time they see each other. I think she lives in New York. The girl lives in New York, and the guy lives in Ohio. He's like a teacher, a high school teacher, and she's this New York boss bitch. Their lives are very different, but they go on vacation to a new place every summer, and 2 summers ago, something weird happened, which you don't know for the whole book until the end, and so they haven't seen each other for 2 summers, but then it goes back and forth between timelines, so it covers every summer up until the present, back and forth between the current summer, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you're into straight love stories, then, and you haven't read this already, I'd recommend it. But if you're looking for something a little beachier and a little just bit more like plot driven, maybe not for you. The next book I read was Love in Other Words. I was really excited to read this because everybody is obsessed with it. And it was such a disappointment. Like, I'm so sorry. It just was not, I really didn't like it. I thought the plot was so far-fetched and not really feasible. Again, it goes back and forth between 2 timelines. The first is this girl, she just lost her mom. Her dad gets them like a summer house, and the boy next door comes over and like reads with her, and it's like young adult romance vibes. And then the other time period is when she's like in her 30s and she's engaged to somebody else, and then they run into each other for the first time in 11 years because something bad happened the last time they saw each other, then they stopped speaking. So it just didn't do it for me. Not only is it just not my genre, but I don't think it was well written, and I don't think the plot is, I don't know, I feel like they tried to like have weird twists and turns and it just wasn't really believable for me. So I don't really give books below a 3 out of 5 just because I think that's mean, but 3 out of 5. Apparently Every Summer After is a much better version of this, so that's something that's on my list for next month. But this is, in my opinion, absolutely not worth reading. Sorry. The next book I read is the 3rd Emily Henry book that I've read, which is Book Lovers. I feel like by the time I read this book, I had just read so many books similar to this, of this rom-com-y kind of genre, that I just couldn't wait for it to be over. It was cute though. Like again, Emily Henry, like She's a good writer, and if you like the genre, read this book. It's about this editor who lives in New York, and it's very like city girl goes down south and changes her view on life. But it's like self-aware that it's that trope because she's a book editor and she's like, I'm such a cliche for being the city woman that moves to a small town and gets changed. It's about this woman. She has, I wouldn't say like an arch nemesis, but there's this other, actually no, she's not a book editor. She's an agent, I think. Yeah, she's a literary agent, and she kind of got off on the wrong foot with this book editor, and he ends up living in the small town that she goes to visit. So it's just about their relationship and kind of enemies to lovers type trope. Yeah, it's cute. I would give it, again, like a 4 out of 5. Objectively, like it's a good book, but personally I didn't. If you're not into like the rom-com genre, I would not recommend this. And again with like, I just expect it to be like a summer read, and I think it takes place during the summer even, but none of her books have felt summery to me. That's also another reason why I didn't enjoy this as much as I thought I would. But it's a quick read. All of her books are very quick reads, and I don't regret reading any of them. The last 2 books I really started to get into. This book, Hotel Nantucket. This is my first, I still don't know if it's Ellen or Eileen Hildebrand. This book is about the staff of this hotel. It's a very like ensemble-oriented piece about all of the people that work at this hotel and who goes in and out and the inner workings of it. There's even a ghost character. It's very much like White Lotus, if you know that TV show. The writing is very smart. It's very funny. Like there's a lot of good like cultural references, and there's just a lot of different types of characters. You know, there's rich characters, there's poor characters, there's older characters, there's younger characters. I really like this book, and this book did feel summery to me. I think this is such a good beach read if you're looking for a good beach read. I'm excited to read more of her books. I would give this a 4.5 out of 5. There was nothing like super gripping about it. Like there were no like crazy like plot twists, but it was super engaging and I couldn't put it down. So I really like this, and I recommend this one for the summer. And then the last book I read, I was not expecting anything from. It was my book of the month from June, I believe. I had no expectations for this. It's not really a summary book, and so I was just like, let me give this a try, whatever. Things We Do in the Dark. I don't know if I enjoyed this book so much because it was the first thriller I had read in like 2 months. Like I've just been reading a lot of like summary reads, and I really love thrillers, but like this I started a day that I had a lot of work, so I read like 70 pages that day, and then I read the rest of it in one sitting. It was so good. I do give this one a 5 out of 5. I really highly recommend if you're looking to kind of, like I was, spice up your summer reading with just like a nice thriller. It's just one of those books that from the moment it starts, it's plot. Like you're hooked in. Every few chapters, like you get a new twist, like you get new information. Like there's not just one plot twist, there's like so many. The book opens with this woman, Paris, covered in her husband's blood. Did she murder him? Did she not murder him? That kind of thing. And her husband is like this very high profile comedian that's a lot older than she is. And so it kind of like covers that trial, but then it also covers another time period, another place. She is linked somehow to this woman who's referred to as the Ice Queen from like 20 years ago. Her name is Ruby Reyes. Ruby Reyes was put in prison for life for killing a man as well. And so these 2 murders are connected somehow, and that's as much as I could say without giving it away. Trigger warning, I would say child abuse, domestic abuse, and rape. I felt similarly reading this than I did to The Silent Patient. I just like could not put it down. If you're into like true crime podcasts, like that kind of stuff, like this is such a good book because you get from like a few different perspectives too. Like you get from like an outside perspective, this guy that's like trying to figure it out. You get from Paris's perspective. You get from a lot of different perspectives. I don't want to say like who because that kind of gives it away. 5 out of 5. Highly recommend. I would say out of the ones I read, these are my 2 real recommendations. So yeah, those are the 5 books that I read this July. I'll be releasing a video with my August to be read list. I'm hoping to read a few more books in August. Stay tuned for that video. Thanks so much for watching. If you've read any of these books, feel free to comment your thoughts below. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.